Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It means a lot. You guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And we are one day away. I mean, it's finale eve, right? And I feel like today is the day that we don't talk about, all of the negative stuff. We don't talk about all of this. We are talking about gameplay and gameplay only, right? So today, what I want to do is go through. Really, I just want to take a look back at each player who is in the final five, their game up until this point, and then I want to go through each round of the finale, being final 5, 4, and then 3. At least that's what we think it's going to be. And I'm basically going to go through each round and play out all of these scenarios that I have in my head that I feel like are the most likely to happen. We, of course, have our post-game show tomorrow that we do 30 seconds after the episode is over. We immediately go live. We have so much fun with that, with you guys in the chat asking all of the questions. We are super responsive to the chat, so if you have a question and you want my thoughts on it, I guarantee you that I will have an answer within 10 seconds on the live show. We are super we have so much fun in those. I think we've gotten to 60 or 70 concurrent live viewers with that, so keep growing on that. I do want to say that I did just make a Discord last night. We already have a lot of you in there, but if you haven't already joined it, it'll be the top link in the description. You can ask me a question there and I will answer probably within a few hours. If you want to suggest video ideas, to me, that's where I'll see them. If you want to just talk to other people who also watch the show and react, just like maybe you want to talk to people during the commercial breaks when the show is airing, you guys can do that. I mean, it really is just a safe haven for us, fans who actually, watch good Survivor content, i.e. watching me. No, all jokes aside though, go join that. It's the top link in the description. It's my Discord server. We are going to talk about 41. So let's just talk about every single person's game and then go through all of these rounds. All right, so let's talk about Heather's game. So really, Heather is obviously the person who has gotten a purple edit on the season. We've got nothing from Heather. All that we know about Heather as a person is that she's kind of like she curses like a sailor. She's not your stereotypical mom archetype on the show, or at least your stereotypical team mom archetype on the show. She's not very nice and cuddly. No, she will say it how she sees it, which I think is partly why she got cast, because she's so abrasive with her words. Or abrasive isn't the word, but blunt, I think it's a better word, that she kind of breaks that stereotypical of a stay-at-home mom. She is so blunt in her talking, and she kind of acts like, quote unquote, one of the guys. And that's really all that we know about her personally. Throughout the game, we really didn't see anything from her in the pre-merge. We did see a secret scene with her and Sydney, but that really didn't amount to anything at the merge. And as the merge has gone on, we've seen her kind of duo up with Erika. So it's really Heather and Erika. And Heather has really only done a few things. So we did get some stuff about when Shan was going on her tirade, and I mean, Shan calls it playing the game, but I call it, being a literal dictator. But Heather had fought back on Shan, making Heather the decoy vote, because Shan had tried to say that, okay, we're gonna do a split vote, but Heather is like our third the vote in case X and Y play their idols, and Heather would go, and Heather caught on to this, and Heather told Shan, like, what the heck, like, you can't have my name as a decoy vote. And so we see Heather stick up for herself there. We also see Heather make a quote unquote move. I believe this is at the Tiffany boot, I think. Yeah, at the Tiffany boot, where we see Heather basically get up right before Jeff goes to tell her, basically announces that they are going to vote. She's like, hold on, Jeff. And then she starts an entire chaos, chaotic live tribal, little 3-minute segment, which was an absolutely hilariously dumb move. It didn't do really anything for her. We've not really gotten any personal content from her. We've gotten barely any game content on her, and I think it's at this point she's the only person who we can all agree on will not win this season, unless Survivor wants to, just pull off something absolutely insane. And editing Heather, I guess in this case, the winner of the season, in a way that is so purple. I mean, Heather is one of the most purple people, aside from Chelsea Townsend. I think she's one of the most purple people since the original Purple Kelly. I mean, she's gotten absolutely zero content. Next up, we have Erika. So I feel like Erika for me is someone who early on she got basically the same amount of purple edit as Heather did. She did get a huge segment in the episode where Luvu almost throws the challenge, because in this episode she basically throws out, I believe it's Sydney's name, to Deshawn, thinking that she can trust Deshawn. Deshawn then goes and tells Sydney and Danny, and they all think that they should throw the challenge to get out Erika. And they try as hard as they can, but Nasir, not really knowing, goes really, really hard in the challenge and causes them to not be able to throw the challenge there. And also the fact that Ua sucks that much to the point where Luvu is trying to throw the challenge and they literally cannot do it. And so that is some pre-merge content that we get from Erika. But when we get the bottle flip twist in which Erika doesn't get selected to be on one of these two groups of, I believe it was 6 at the merge, if not 5. It's her and Nasir don't get don't pull the right straw, but Nasir gets saved by one of the cohorts, causing Erika to be left out and put on Exile Island, where she gets the opportunity to flip the game. So instead of her in the losing cohort, whoever had lost the immunity challenge earlier in the episode, it's her and that cohort would go to tribal, or she could flip it and have her and the other cohort not go to tribal. And so I guess the only disbenefit, or the only negative for not flipping the game, is I guess making the people who you're going to send to tribal mad. But then again, one of them is going to go home and the other 4 of them probably won't hate you that much, knowing that she was going to be the boot in that episode. So I mean, she made the right move there, at least. I don't think it's a very hard move to make, but she definitely calibrated the right move and did execute that very, very well on her part. We then have seen her throughout this post-merge. I think the first episode where she really pops out after this, the whole hourglass thing, is in the double boot episode, in which I believe it was a tribe of 10 gets split up into 2 groups. She is with Shan, Ricard, Heather, and Nasir. It's Nasir, Shan, and Ricard against her and Heather, and she basically flips the vote on Nasir there, although it really is Ricard and Shan's move more, but she does survive that, and that's really where we get to really know that it's her and Heather who are kind of on the bottom, not only of that specific cohort, but really of the entire post-merge tribe. Then after that, we really get her biggest moment of the entire season is when Deshawn and Danny are flipping the vote on Shan, and they have 6 votes against Shan and Liana. And Erika, knowing that if Shan plays her idol, that Shan and Liana are voting for Erika, that Erika knows that if they play the idol correctly, then she will go home, she being Erika. And so Erika says, why don't we split the vote 3-3, and then Shan and Liana's vote will be 2, and so it'll be a 3-3-2 vote where Shan and Liana will not vote on the revote, and then we will all pick to vote out probably Shan. And she executes this. She executes this perfectly. She really does. I mean, I think this really has a good argument to be the best strategical move of the entire season. I mean, I think it was really, really impressive what she was able to do with, especially like the lack of strategical power that she had in the game, to see that she was able to garner all of these people and then make them split the vote to avoid her even having a possibility of going home in this tribal. I think it's super impressive on her part, and I think it might be the best display of strategical gameplay maybe in this entire season. Post-merge, probably post-merge. I think Shan in the pre-merge did have some pretty good gameplay, but I'd say post-merge, this is definitely the best move strategically for sure. Then we have Xander. So Xander started off on the Yase tribe. They vote out Abraham first round, then they vote out Voce in the next round, and that leaves Xander really in a sorry, and I also forgot to mention that that Xander and Voce were on the bottom together, and Xander finds a idol that has kind of powers of its own that aren't exactly the best, where Xander needs to wait until this specific type of idol is found on the other 2 beaches before he's able to use it, but before it's activated. And so for the entire pre-merge, Xander cannot vote, including at the Voce vote, which is his only ally, where Voce goes, and then he's left with him, Evie, Tiffany, and Liana, who are all against him. Evie kind of pretends to still be his ally, but they're really all against him. And if they had gone to tribal again, they probably vote out Xander, especially because Xander did not have a vote. So Xander would have needed two of them to flip, not just one, to force a tie there. Once we get to the merge, Xander makes one of the I did say that Erika's was the best strategical move, but I think that this is probably number one, with Erika's coming at 2. I think that Xander basically faking out Liana, where leading on the fact that he has an idol, which is true, but then he hands it off to Tiffany at the last second to avoid Liana stealing his idol with her advantage. Is a really good moment. It's live at Tribal in front of what would be the entire jury, and allows him and Anastasis to stay intact, although they don't blindside some big figure from the Luvu cohort, that 9-person group. Instead, Sydney goes home in this spot. And then really throughout this post-merge, Xander's gotten a very kind of like inconsistent edit, where like there are some episodes where Xander gets this gigantic edit, super underdog. He does all this great stuff. It shows his perspective, and there's others where he does nothing. And I think part of that might be the fact that the ones where he does nothing is where he needed to stay low and really like lower his strategical threat level in the game, and so he specifically stayed low. I think that if he was a big character in every single episode and did big things in every single episode, they would probably show that. But he just wasn't, and so that's what's caused a lot of people to kind of hop off of the Xander train of thinking that he may win, because his edit's been so inconsistent, and also that he failed to blindside Ricard at the final 6. And in fact, he actually the final 7, I think. Yeah, the final 7, where Ricard didn't win immunity, and they had a free shot to take out Ricard, and he didn't, because he thought that he would save Ricard for one more round. Turns out Ricard starts winning challenges, and all of a sudden he is with Ricard at the end, someone who beats pretty much anybody here except for maybe Deshawn. And so now people's opinions of Xander have kind of dropped, as far as viewers wise. It's also not so great on Ponderosa videos. They're kind of roasting him at Ponderosa. So that's not as the best thing for his game. And then on top of that, his demographic is not the best for this jury, who wants to see either a person of color or a woman win the season. So to see that Xander is none of those is not really good for his winning chances. And so overall, his stock is kind of tanked. Next, we have Deshawn, someone who's been in control of the entire game from start to finish. Deshawn is someone who started out on the Luvu tribe. I've already talked about the possible tribe challenge throw, so I won't talk about that again, but that happened. And he was in control of his original tribe, with him, Sydney, and Danny at the forefront, being the power trio from the Luvu tribe. At the merge, we see that him and Danny flip on Sydney very, very quickly, which I think was a blunder. I think in rounds like, for example, the final 6 round, where it's just him and Danny versus the rest of them, if they had kept Sydney there, now it's him, Danny, and Sydney versus the other 3. I think flipping on Sydney there is not really warranted, and they could have flipped on a Ricard or a Shan there instead. And so I do think that was a pretty big misstep. And then on top of that, we have Deshawn blindsiding Shan. He's really the head of the Shan blindside, behind Ricard, obviously, who is the one who originally makes the choice to flip on Shan. But Deshawn is the one who grabs the most people, being him, Danny, and all of them. He also takes the brunt of this when it comes to bitterness from Shan, and both really both Shan and Liana, because they're both not happy that they got voted out from his actions. I think that part of it is the fact that he is so emotional, especially after tribals. I mean, I think with him and Ricard's conversation after the Shan vote, where Shan calls him out at tribal, Deshawn's very upset and almost puts it on Ricard there, and it causes Ricard to not want to flip to him and Danny there. And so I think that it's definitely a detriment to him. I think Deshawn at this point, his stock has probably dropped with the jury, but I think his overall gameplay has not really got, decreased that much. He's still playing a pretty good game, and I think if he gets to the end against a Xander, he probably wins. Against an Erika, he could win. Against a Heather, obviously he wins, and then against a Ricard, he probably loses, but he still has a shot at least, and he's definitely the person who has the best shot to challenge Ricard. And speaking of Ricard is our person who I saved for last because I think at this point he's the front runner to win the game at this point. I think he beats anybody at the end. His hardest beat is probably either Deshawn or Xander. I think that Ricard has made the same moves as Deshawn, except that Ricard has come out looking much better. Ricard early on was much more smug in the pre-merge, but now he started to make his jury management a lot better, I feel like, and that's just my personal opinion. I think that Ricard is in a spot to win the game. I think right now, if they go to Final Tribal, I think Ricard has officially crossed over to the, he wins against anybody right now. I think Ricard's way of going out would be either in Fire or he loses to Deshawn. I think those are the only two ways. Or he loses that Final 5 immunity challenge where he probably goes there. So I feel like his game rides on that. And speaking of the Final 5, let's go through each round really quickly. Final 5, it really all depends on what Ricard does in this challenge. If Ricard wins this challenge, then we probably get a Deshawn boot, I think, maybe. So let's just go with that scenario, because Xander probably plays his idol there, leaving only Heather, Erika, or Deshawn to be vulnerable. And if just even within those three, Heather and Erika are voting together, I don't think that they're going to vote out a Heather or an Erika here, so that only leaves Deshawn. And so if Deshawn goes at 5 there because Ricard wins immunity, then we get a Ricard, Erika, and Heather and Xander Final 4, where I could see either Xander or Ricard winning immunity. If Ricard wins immunity, I feel like he probably just votes out, or he probably sends, I'd say, Erika and Xander probably to Fire, or at least that's his best move for sure. Where I feel like we probably get a Xander Fire making win there. From there, it's a Ricard, Xander, Heather win there. Easy. Or if Xander wins Final 4 immunity, then he probably, honestly, Xander might take on Ricard in Fire making there, where it's kind of a toss-up there, where obviously I think whoever wins that has a pretty good shot winning at the end, although I think if Xander wins that, he still has a tough battle against Erika there at the end, and we'll just have to see if the jury still respects Erika at the end. And then final 3 scenarios, as I've already talked about 5, and I really didn't mean to, but I kind of talked about final 4 fire making scenarios. I think final 3, if Ricard gets the end against Deshawn, I think it's a toss-up. I think if Deshawn can get the votes of Shan and Liana, I think Deshawn wins that vote. I think if Ricard does, and then I think if Ricard can pull over those Shan and Liana votes, I feel like he probably gets the votes there. I feel like if the Camp Out Alliance votes based off of camp out lines, I feel like you're in for a black winner being obviously Deshawn. But if the Camp Out votes on just who they like the best, I think Ricard wins, probably in a landslide. I think Xander needs to go up against an Erika, a Heather, and then either an Erika or a Deshawn. I think that those are Xander's best shot. And even then, I feel like they probably still vote for Deshawn over Xander. So maybe it's best if Xander just goes up against Ricard at the end and tries to just... Because, I feel like the contrast between Xander and Deshawn, I feel like Deshawn can pull back jury votes. But I feel like if Xander goes up against Ricard there, he could make it a battle of, well, Ricard was always on top and I was always on the bottom. And so it's tough. I think Erika's best shot to win is definitely with her, Xander, and Heather at the end. And I think if that's the case, we probably do get an Erika win, although it really does depend on how much the jury wants a female winner. That's it, guys. I just wanted to talk about the finale that we're all so excited about. It's going to be a 2-hour finale where I believe the winner will be announced on location at the end of that 2-hour mark. So meaning if you're watching in the Eastern time zone, it'll be from 8 to 10. You will get the finale, and then from 10 to 11, we'll get the, I believe it's an on location reunion show, I think, from 10 to 11. So the live show will be going live at 11:01, really. So be prepared for that. So get on really, really quick. And hopefully we can talk about Survivor for at least an hour. Probably we'll make the live show, considering that it's our last one for 2.5 months. So tune in live. And you can ask as many questions as you want to me. On top of that, last thing, join the Discord. We have so much fun in there. It's all I'm already talking to a lot of you about, video ideas. Some people are asking me advice on how to grow your channel. Anything you want. If you just want somewhere to talk to people who also watch the show, there's plenty of reasons to join my Discord server. So check that out. It's in the description, probably the top link. And yeah, none of this happens without you guys. I'm just a weird guy speaking into a weird microphone. And if that's it, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.